This is on lesson 6, which is about cars and loans. First, you'll look at the cost of owning and operating a motor vehicle. And when we look at that, we look at fixed costs, those that stay the same or relatively the same, and variable costs that change each month. For fixed costs, you have depreciation, which is based on your purchase price. This is especially important if you use your motor vehicle, your car, for your business. The interest on your loan is also part of owning the cost of owning a car, insurance, and then of course there's registration fees each year, your license, and your taxes. The variable costs are gasoline, which is up and down, so it's definitely variable, plus how much you use depending on how much you drive. Oil and other fluids, your tires, which you shouldn't have for the first probably 40,000 miles. And then maintenance and repairs. Hopefully on a new car, you won't have those for a while. Parking and toll roads. Of course, there's ways to avoid those toll roads. How much can you afford? Very important to determine before you ever go shopping for a car, dependent on your net income, which is your income after they take out the taxes, how much can you actually afford to spend on a car because you do not want to overspend. We usually go by the 20-10 rule. The 20 means 20% of your yearly net income. So if you earn $400 a month after your taxes, then your net income for a year is 12 times 400 or $4,800. If you calculate 20% of that, it's $960. So your safe debt load should be no more than $960. This does not include your housing, but it does include your car, credit cards, and any other debt that you may have. Your monthly payments on debt should not exceed 10% of your monthly net income. So if your take-home pay is $400 a month, 10% of that is $40. So your total monthly debt payment shouldn't total more than $40 per month. So you look at it both from how much outstanding debt you have per year plus how much you can afford each month. In consumer decision making, you should decide to spend your money by asking yourself these questions. Do I really need this item? We talked earlier in the semester about needs versus wants. Is it worth the time I spend making the money to buy it? So how much do you want the item? Is there a better use for my money right now? So you want to be very careful about convenience shopping and shop only when you have done your research and you have really thought through the purchase. If you decide on the right purchase, you want to consider what level of quality do you want, low, medium, or high. What level of quality do you need? You don't want to overbuy, just like a computer. Many people overbuy for a computer. They want the fastest, they want the one with the most RAM, they want everything on the computer when most everyone doesn't use much of the software on a computer except for word processing and maybe spreadsheets. So you want to buy no more than what you need. Otherwise, you're overspending. What types of services and repairs does the dealer offer? Should I wait until there is a sale on the type of car I want? Should I buy new or used? If I buy a used car, should I buy it from a dealer or from a private party? Should I choose a car with a well-known name, even if it costs more? Do I know anyone who owns the type of car I want so that you can interview them and discuss the payment, the costs, etc.? Are the warranty and the service contracts on the car comparable with other cars that are similar? And what do consumer magazines say about the type of car? Before you ever step into a dealership or start shopping for a car, you should ask yourself all of these questions. You should be familiar with what is out there and have done your research. When shopping for a used car, decide first how much you can afford to spend. Use that 20-10 rule before you ever go to the dealership. Decide which car models and options interest you. Some of the options on a car are probably not necessary at this time in your life. So you want to be sure that you will use those options. You want to research the reliability. Consumer magazines can be very helpful in helping you research the reliability. Find out where it can be repaired, how close that is to you. Find out whether parts are readily available. For instance, I purchased a Jetta for my daughter when she was in high school her last year, and she drove that Jetta for her whole college career. But the parts on the Jetta were a little bit high. I let her talk me into it, and I probably should not have. In fact, she wrecked that car her last year of college. It was a pretty small wreck and not much damage, but because of the cost of repairs, they totaled that car. So consider that when you're considering the type of car. Find recent prices in Blue Books and in the library so you know what the car's worth. Shop for financing. You should never go into a dealership without having financing already, because you can compare with what they will offer you. And many times they will beat that financing, but they won't do that probably if you don't already have some financing in place and know what your financing is. Factor in the cost of the loan and the cost of maintenance. And this goes for any of your purchases, even a printer. When I buy a printer, the first thing I do is go look up how much that ink cartridge is going to cost and compare it to another printer. And know how to read the buyer's guide sticker. And as you shop, find out the reputation of the dealer, find out the warranty, all about the warranty and what types of service contracts come with it. As we've mentioned, sources of used cars come from primarily three places: new car dealers, used car dealers, and private parties. New car dealers do provide quality used vehicles. They have a service department available. They have higher prices than other sources in some instances. Used car dealers specialize in previously owned cars. They do sometimes have limited warranty, and sometimes the vehicles may be in poor condition. Private parties may be well maintained. Few consumer protection regulations apply to private policy or private party sales, which is helpful when purchasing. When you're shopping for a new car, decide what you want, the model, and also the specific options. Know that before you go in. Find out the invoice price and the true cost to the dealer. You can usually find that out as well. If not, ask them. Decide how much you're going to be willing to pay and do not go above that. Compare your final sales prices with other dealers. So don't go to just one dealership. Compare financing costs from various sources, as we mentioned before. Know the value of your car if you're trading in. Be sure that you have looked up the value of your car. Kelley Blue Book is a good place to do that. And know exactly how much you will accept for that trade-in. You may want to try to sell your old car yourself. That's up to you. In the past, you've been able to get more money for it if you've done that, but not necessarily always. And decide whether you need an optional service contract or credit insurance. The warranties, four types of warranties that we'll look at are as is, when there's not any kind of warranty at all. You have to repair it. Some states don't even permit as is warranties, but it's usually plainly spelled out on the car. But if you're buying a used car, you definitely want to know that. Implied warranties are product will do what it is designed to do, and the product will do what the seller promises it will do. Those two things are in effect, unless the product is sold as is and the seller says in writing that there's no warranty. Dealer warranties are offered and written by the dealer. These terms and conditions vary, so you want to be sure you're familiar with the terms and the conditions. You want to compare warranty terms on similar cars, and you may be able to negotiate warranty coverage. And then you have unexpired manufacturer's warranties. There may be a fee for this to transfer it. It usually can sometimes be transferred to the new owner, but they will usually tell you that when you're buying the car. before deciding to buy a service contract, and they will offer in a new car situation, and sometimes a car that's only a few years old, they will offer you a service contract. So be aware of that before you go in. They can be quite expensive. So you want to know the cost. You want to know what's actually covered under it. Does the warranty already cover repairs? So are you double warranting it? You want to be sure of that. The potential for needed repairs and cost of repairs. If you're buying a car that has potentially quite a few repairs needed, needs to be serviced pretty often, and if those repairs are expensive, then you definitely may want to consider one. How much deductible there is, where you can get it repaired. Do you have to get it repaired in a certain place? And you may, if you live in Houston and have to get it repaired in Austin, that's a 3-hour drive, so you want to know that ahead of time. Does it cover incidental expenses such as towing? Is there a cancellation or refund policy? Is it a reputable place? And can you purchase it later? Normally, yes, you will be offered, even at the end of paying off your car, sometimes you're offered a service contract. It's a big sales item these days.